by Zoom only. Again, you'll be using the Q&A feature. Tonight, we are joined by, of course, Mayor Christensen, who will be moderating. We have our Director of Nursing from Malden Public Schools, Patty Tremendozzi. We have Superintendent John O'Terry, and then shortly we're going to be joined by Assistant Superintendent Pam McDonald, Assistant Superintendent of Student Services, Pam McDonald. With that, and one more thing, we are going to be recording tonight's meeting. So for those that weren't able to join us real time, we will be able to replay this. We're going to do this through Malden Access Television, and we will share the link through the superintendent's office of the recording. That will be sent out. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Mayor Christensen.
All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome. And before we begin, I just want to say thank you for all your patience throughout this ordeal. This has not been easy. It's something that we have never seen. Hopefully we'll never see again, but you have been more than patient throughout. And so tonight we're going to try to answer as many questions as we can. And if we can't, we'll try and get you the information after this event is over. So with that being said, we've made the introductions. I think the most important thing we can do right now is get to your questions. So the first question we have is, what are the measures you are taking to protect our children? If there are any cases, will the schools be closed and everyone quarantined for 14 days every time there is a case? So why don't we go to our Director of Nursing first to get her insight on this question.
Thank you, Mayor. If we have a positive case within the school, it really all depends on how many cases there are. There's things known as clusters. If there's more than one case that's related, if we have 2 or 3 cases, then that would probably warrant closing the school for 14 days. But it's a case-by-case basis, school-by-school basis.
Okay.
For positive cases.
All right, and John, if I could just add, John, one thing we have been able to do over the past couple months with the students that we have had in is really figure out how to communicate what's going on in the schools. So can you let the people watching know what would be the protocol if there was a case to arise?
If I might, Mr. Mayor, just let me first, welcome everybody and just tell them how I want to express how excited we are to bring back our youngest learners. And we're able to do that mainly based on the success we've had since October 13th with our high needs students that have been in. We have had 0 transmission cases between students to staff. We have had cases of COVID. As Patty has said, we handle each one on an individual basis because we work very deeply and collaboratively with our Board of Health to do the contact tracing and to determine who would be a close contact when that may have happened. And we've been very, very successful with that. We have a tremendous amount of PPE in the schools, from mask, goggles, face shields, gowns, gloves, hand sanitizer. We have a great deal of signage. We're really confident that the safety procedures and protocols that we have in place will continue to keep our students safe. We've been very successful, as I said, since October. I know that the mayor and the school committee have been very invested into that. I think Patty and her school nurses, as well as the Board of Health, have really done an incredible job of kind of making sure that we, if we do have positive cases, which, it is often a reality, that it's contained. And we've been very successful with that. So I think with the model and the steps we've taken in place, we'll continue on a larger scale. And we're excited about that.
All right, we have a lot of questions in the queue. Let's go to Mason's parents. Can you explain how you anticipate the layout of the classroom for the kindergartners to promote optimal safety? How's it going to look?
So we, although the state and other guidelines have said you can go down to 3 feet distancing, ours will be 6 feet distancing. We anticipate, we know that our classrooms are going to look different to maintain and assure that physical distancing is present. We also, it's not going to look like the normal kindergarten classroom with time on the rug and all in a circle. That closeness, unfortunately, can't happen anymore during COVID. But it will, the look will be different, and it will be based on safety. The teacher won't be as circulating and is physically present and in close contact with the students as he or she may have been prior to COVID, but we will assure that the connections and the support are still there.
Okay.
I think that they've done that very well electronically this year.
Okay. Next question is from Catherine. What is being done to maintain the quality of education for fully remote children? Will they be sharing classrooms with live students? All of my research has shown that to be very bad for the learning of the remote kids, as they need to compete for attention with local students and don't get focused FaceTime with teachers.
So we're able to, with the Malden Education Association, work and get live streaming in. So the students who are remote will be in the same classroom with the students who are in person. We're really confident that what we're doing now, our teachers are teaching remotely to the students, and we'll continue that, except there'll be some students in front of them. It'll be simultaneous teaching and learning. I don't think there is a substitute for what would be our normal, regular in-person learning. But I know that when we've talked with our educators this year, they feel that there are some benefits that have come out of working on the remote setting that have really benefited them, whether it's the breakout rooms or the ability to sort of isolate a student and work with them a little more intensely. Those are things that we continue to work on. These are more tools in our teachers' toolbox that they've developed through training, professional development, and frankly, many on their own that have worked with it this school year and the end of last school year as well.
Okay. Catherine, if I can just add too, this was a suggestion made by students themselves that if we were to come back, they wanted to be able to have their peers that wanted to come back, go back, and those that wanted to remain behind, remain behind. And, you know, the thing that they said they all wanted, no matter what we chose, was the ability to stay with the teacher that they've had, which is a credit to our teachers. They have, as always in the past, had such a positive impact on them that the students were pretty adamant that whatever we decide to do, they wanted to remain with them. So, Catherine, I know you have other questions, but I want to try to give everyone an opportunity to ask theirs. So I'll try to come back to your additional questions later. Let's go to Jessica Vasquez. What will the schedule look like for hybrid learning, and how will lunches be handled?
So the schedule, we're going to try to mirror as much of the normal school day as we possibly can. Our principals are working on those schedules, so you'll still have your regular subjects. Lunch will look different. Lunch will probably be served depending upon the school and the needs. It could be in the gym, it could be in the classroom, it could be in some of the common areas. We're working out those details to make sure that our students are safe and physically distant from one another. But we're putting together those plans, but lunch will be served. Lunch is free for all students as of the middle of December. And we will continue to make sure that safety is the biggest priority. Pam, did you want to add to that?
No, I mean, I think that, you know, it's a tough balance between both in-person and remote. And I think that the number one priority we heard from families was staying with their teacher. So this was the way to do that. Okay.
Let's go to Kate. I probably should have ended this session with this question. Who is the gentleman whose name is listed as City of Malden? That would be Ron Cochran, our communications director. So if you need to reach him after, his email is rcochran, COCHRAN, @cityofmalden.org.
Mayor Christensen, if I might, I just wanted to mention that we actually have had such a substantial amount of folks attending that I just had to jack up the size of our license to above 500 capacity. So for if anybody had a snag about 2 minutes ago, that was the reason, and I've jacked it up. So now it's rising above 500 attendees. So I can see everybody's passion in this topic, but thank you.
Okay, very good. Let's see, let's go down to Ben. When will we know which days of the week first graders will be in person?
You mean if you're a specific student, I would presume? In about an hour or so, you'll be receiving a call from me that will direct you to a survey where you will choose whether you're going to remain remote or come back in person. And then our principals will be putting together the cohorts, cohort A or B or blue or gold, depending upon what they're calling it. So your first day could be Monday, February 1st, or it could be Thursday, February 4th.
Okay. Let's go to anonymous attendee. Are there going to be air filters in the rooms? What is the bathroom situation going to be like? What is going to happen if there are positive cases? Will the school shut down?
So I think Patty answered the positive case question earlier. That will be handled in concert with the Board of Health, and whether we need to close the school or not because of a potential cluster situation. Air filtration, we had a complete audit done in August by an independent HVAC contractor. Our air filtration system is excellent, and we do not need additional filtration on that. We're really, really good. We're ahead of this. We were planning upgrades on our filtration system prior to the audit anyway. So we're feeling very confident that the airflow and the volume of air and the rate of turnover of the air is well within the specifications and recommendations. Our Board of Health Director has also reviewed that as well. We're very happy about that.
Okay. And what is the bathroom situation going to be like?
So bathrooms, we're going to have to limit the number of students there. I believe it's 2 maximum per bathroom trip. And there's also going to be more frequent cleaning of the bathrooms as well.
Okay. And back to you, Patty Dermot-Dozie. I think you answered this. What is going to happen if there are positive cases? Will the school shut down? And like the superintendent said, it will all depend, correct? I think you're on mute. Patty?
I'm sorry, I
Yeah.
thought that we had answered that question.
Yeah, I thought it'd be worth answering it again because
Okay,
I think this
so
seems to be a big
The
question.
number of cases within a school is handled on a case-by-case basis. There's a guideline that we follow along with the Board of Health, and it's also been given out by DESE of what we do when there's a case. We do contact tracing of the positive case and notify those people that are maybe a close contact. It really depends on the number of cases within the school if they're connected, and it's really done on a case-by-case basis, school by school. I don't think that we would close the whole school system unless that was something that the Board of Health determined. Or
Okay, very good. Let's go to Jade. Will families be able to switch to hybrid throughout the spring?
So yes, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education is requiring that, and we would be as well. The switching into the hybrid, we just can't do that at a whim. There'll be intervals where that can happen, mainly because of size of classes. But to opt from in-person to remote should not be difficult at all. But yes, you will have the opportunity to come in if you started remotely. But we'd have to check on the size of the class and what days it could be. But there will be opportunities to do that, yes.
Lauren Fitzgibbons, are kids being reassigned to teachers based on remote only versus hybrid? If not, are teachers expected to teach to both in-person and online kids simultaneously?
Yes, they'll be teaching to online and in person simultaneously. And we're not setting up a remote academy that now that we may have to reassign an occasional student or a class, but for the most part, that won't happen.
Okay, and I see anonymous attendee has multiple questions. So as I mentioned earlier, we're going to try to come back to you, but I want to make sure we get to everyone at least once. So let me hop over yours to get to the next question, which is, what measures will be taken to ensure a safe environment for students and teachers for in-person learning? Which I think you outlined previously, but if you can, maybe just do it quickly, Superintendent.
I'm sorry, I missed the first part. You froze on me.
What measures will be taken to ensure a safe environment for students and teachers for in-person learning?
So as I stated earlier, and we'll continue to, demonstrate this, safety has been the driving force of this. We have a tremendous amount of personal protection equipment, PPE, masks, goggles, face shields, gowns, gloves, hand sanitizer, a lot of signage. We created, one-way pathways. Our air movement system is excellent. We have plexiglass if needed. We're also, teachers will not be circulating like they normally would. And also we're ensuring that our students will remain 6 feet apart, despite the fact that the state says you can go to 3 feet. We don't feel that that is a safe environment. The number of desks will be limited in each classroom. Movement will be limited. We'll have masks mandatory. The school committee adopted a mask policy this summer as well. We have plenty of masks for our students. If they lose one, it gets soiled, forgot one, we'll make sure that that's all there. I think also just some things that you should know is we're in line to receive testing from the state, surveillance testing via a pool testing. We also have the Binex Now test, which tests for symptomatic students. We're in the phase where we've received the tests. Patty has trained all of the nurses on that, and we're awaiting the next steps with the state to implement that. But that's another way I think that you should know that we're keeping our people safe. There'll also be a daily check-in that we want our families to go through every day that they send their child into school. In the past, and I don't mean to be to make light of this, but in the past, prior to COVID, a parent might have given their child Tylenol or Motrin before school in hopes that maybe that 99 fever wasn't going to rise up and they just need that. That can't happen right now. We really can't take chances with that. I know many parents, kind of cross their fingers and hope for the best when their kid woke up with a scratchy throat and a runny nose, and maybe it was the onset of a cold, and well, if I can just get one day. Unfortunately, that can't. It has very severe consequences potentially. So we're asking that if you have any of these symptoms that you stay home, and
All right.
rather be safe than sorry.
All right, we have another 100 questions to get through. Let's see if we can do as many as we can. From Jennifer, can you please describe what the 100% remote option will look like?
It would look pretty much like what you're doing now, except the teacher would be teaching in the classroom.
Okay, next question from Ellen. So now that we're talking pre-K to 2, what are the plans for grades 3, 4, 5, et cetera?
We're going to be assessing this to see how this goes, and we'll be meeting with the Joint Labor Management Committee and with the school committee about what the next steps will be, around what the next cohort of students will be. Will it be, our grades 3 through 5? But we are assessing that, and we hope to get as many of our students in going forward as we possibly can.
Okay, the next question I think has been answered. What kind of precautions will there be in schools if cases are still going up? So for those that have questions after, we're going to try and get you the panelist email information and phone information after the session ends. From Tracy, how are the high school children getting to school safely?
the ones that are currently in right now,
I believe so.
I believe they all receive transportation through their individual education plan. So they've all been transported. I think going forward, like they normally would, our times, when we get our high school students in, I would presume it would be the same way.
Okay. And again, Tracy, hang in there. We'll get you our contact information shortly if that doesn't answer it. Let's see here. From Penny, why waiting so long for Malden High School students to go back since they are in an entirely different building than ELC and K-8?
Well,
So-
I think part of this was, what we had, what the school committee and the Malden Education Association, I think that this was the group that we, first of all, the Department of Education kind of had a priority on our youngest learners for the most part. And that's one of the reasons we're looking at our youngest learners right now, is because that has been at the forefront with our, the educational leaders in the state and the country to get our younger students in. They more benefit from it. Our high school students are more adaptable. They've been able to, they've had Chromebooks since they arrived at the high school. The switch from in-person to remote for them was not as drastic as it has been for our younger learners. And, I think that the socialization, I think all of our kids, I just want to say, I would like all of our kids in. I think that there's no substitute for that in-person experience. But I think with our younger kids, that's been the priority. When we look at the triage that the state Commissioner Riley has set up, that has been right there.
Yeah, and Penny, you should know, I was so impressed when we met with the class officers at the high school. They were of the mindset that they would wait and instead wanted to make sure that the youngest learners got in. So hats off to them. Let's go to Brian Sylvester. When will you be providing the schedule? The opening is in 2 weeks and we need to plan for work, childcare, etc.
So we will get the survey is coming out this evening. We will have every family contacted by Friday is our plan. And then they'll be building the cohorts very quickly around that.
Okay. Beth and Brian, to begin, can we have an overview of the proposed hybrid plan? Again, we have a lot of questions in the queue. Is there somewhere they could go to see that?
I believe there's something in the frequently asked questions about, it'll be a Monday, Tuesday, everybody's remote on Wednesday, and then the other cohort would be in on Thursday, Friday.
Okay. This is for Patty, but I think this has been answered. When we get back to school and someone has the virus, are you going to send them back or take care?
I don't know what that means.
We get back to someone, are you going to send them back? Yeah, let's, if you could email us offline, we'll see if we can try to answer that once we get a little bit more clarity. Let's see here. Next question. This looks like a different anonymous attendee. I'm a working parent and my kid is in kindergarten taking remote classes from the YMCA. I have planned to send to school in person. I heard that one group on Monday, Tuesday, other group is on Thursday and Friday. That means I need to send 2 days in person, 2 days in YMCA. I'm not sure whether my understanding is correct.
That would be correct, right?
It is correct. Yep. That is correct, anonymous attendee. So, and it says, if yes, I am worried that my kid is exposed in 2 places. Yeah, we are. If you want to talk offline, again, we'll get you the email information shortly. Let's go to Colleen. My question is with regard to teachers' responsibilities around hybrid learning. Will teachers be required to instruct students both live in person and live streaming to the kids at home? If so, I have a lot of questions and concerns surrounding the compromised delivery of content, instruction, and safety. We do as well, Colleen. This is not an exact science, but we're just trying to find some balance for those that want to come back and those that want to remain home. I feel as though teachers will be asked to do the impossible, try to connect with live students, yet they also have to be married to the screen to ensure communication and safety for kids at home. So no easy answer here, Superintendent. How do you want to respond?
Well, I think you said it. This is not an exact science. What we would be looking for would be, the priority is our students in the classroom in terms of the safety, but it's like you're teaching to the students and then you're also teaching to those who are on the computer. Our staff is doing the students on the computer now. I think what will happen is it's almost like it's simultaneous. You'll be doing both. I'm not here to tell you that that's going to be easy. I think that there's going to be bumps with that. There'll be some growing pains, but I'm very confident that this will be a way in which we can keep all of our students together. I think in the end, it will be an easier lift for our staff rather than trying to teach two different groups of students who may be in different places in the curriculum and planning different lessons for that. This will keep everybody together at once, and I think that we can ensure some more equity with that as well.
Is the decision already made for in-school learning? Which I think it has been, right? Yep.
Yes.
Next question from Natalie. This is a good one. How will you handle the younger children with keeping masks on?
We'll make sure part of what our staff will be doing is, instilling that you have to wear your mask at all times except during mask breaks that are in school and during lunch. We also are going to have to rely on our families to make sure that is something that they understand. There is a mask mandate in Massachusetts. There's talk of a national one coming in a few days too. So, just what I see from around the district, we've had very few problems with our students, and these are ones that we have in place are our highest need students and often need assistance, but they've been terrific with it. It's just been a seamless transition.
Yep, let's go to Rachel next. How have teachers been allowed into this decision-making process? Do teachers have a choice to stay home and stay safe?
So we've worked with our HR department in terms of asking, are there medical reasons, ADA accommodations that would necessitate you not being able to come in person? We've worked very collaboratively and openly with the Malden Education Association. There's been representation at the table at the Joint Labor Management Council. So we've been very involved with the teachers.
Okay, two-part question from Nicole Gallagher. Are all K-2 teachers going to be back in the classroom? And if not, will my child have to change teachers if she goes back for the hybrid model?
I don't know the exact number, which ones they are, but we do have a few that for medical reasons will not be able to come in, and that we may have to switch teachers there. But that'll be coming out in the next day or two with our principals.
Okay, but so far, Superintendent, the response has been?
Yep, very overwhelmingly, most are coming back.
Okay. Let's go to Counselor and Jenna Kamel. Counselor Dave Kamel and Jenna, thank you for all putting this together. It would be great just to do a quick recap of the intended scenario. 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, or Thursday and Friday, etc., to make sure folks are caught up on the basics. One more time quickly, Sue.
Sure. So we're looking at a hybrid model that will start on Monday, February 1st of cohort 1 or A or B, however we want to phrase that, would be in Monday and Tuesday. The other cohort of students would be in Thursday and Friday. Wednesdays will continue to be what they are now, where there's no staff in the buildings and everybody's learning remotely.
Okay, stand by 1 second. What will be the school timings? I guess that means
School hours?
Yeah.
The regular school hours. Dismissal will be at 2:15 for our K-2 students.
Okay, from Teresa, will the 2-day in-person days be full regular school hours, 8:15 to 2:25?
I think 2:15, but yes.
Okay. Have teachers and staff been vaccinated yet?
No. Our school nurses have. They've gone through their first dose. My understanding, and Patty can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think there's a vaccine for students yet. I believe that's still in the testing stage. We're working very closely with our Board of Health Director, Chris Webb, about getting the staff that will be in vaccinated first. They're a priority. We're hoping to do it soon. I think there's some issues right now with the availability of the vaccine and also with the changing of the administration at the federal level. So we're hoping to get them in, get our staff vaccinated as soon as possible. I don't know the timeline, and maybe Patty can add to that about what it looks like for students, because I believe the vaccine that's out is approved for 18 and older.
Okay. Patty, do you want to add to that?
There is 2 vaccines out right now. One is 18 and over, and the other one is 16 and over. Right now, they're doing the clinical trials on younger children. I believe it's like 6 to 12, or maybe 12 to 18. So I think maybe the summertime we might see that a vaccine would be approved for students. It's coming.
Will grades 5 to 8 rotate classes, or will teachers?
We haven't worked out those details yet because we're not there. But those are things that we need to consider.
Is the school community going to require a COVID test for children to re-enter if parents choose hybrid learning?
We don't have plans or the capacity for that yet.
Yep. Next question from Sabrina. How do you get informed of positive cases? What is the protocol to identify asymptomatic cases to prevent spreading? Patty, maybe? How do you get informed of positive cases? What is the protocol to identify asymptomatic cases to prevent spreading?
Well, once we have a positive case, we collaborate with the Board of Health and that positive case and who their contacts are. And then the superintendent usually sends out a message to the school that it's happened. I don't know how we would identify asymptomatic people at this time. I do know that we're in the process of waiting for the state to come up with the pool testing, and that is an option that we're looking into right now.
Okay.
Right, the pool testing will be able to, once we get that, we could get people who test positive who are asymptomatic.
Okay. From Jean, did our children need to take any vaccine? I think the question is, do they need to be vaccinated in order to return? Patty?
Most of our students are pretty well caught up. We do have additional vaccines for certain grade levels, but right now at this time, the grade levels that are coming back in do not require anything additional to come back. As most people are aware, the state did require the flu vaccine, which we had a very good turnout so far for that, but that they discontinued that. So right now there is no requirement for anyone to come back in person learning in pre-K to 2.
All right, very good. Next question. How will we know whether our children's teacher will do in-person learning or if they will opt not to?
The building principal will, when they reach out to the families, will let them know.
Okay. Will the kids attend live class full-time or will it be in a hybrid setting? My kid is in 2nd grade.
We're in a hybrid setting, so you'd be in, either you've opted to stay fully remote or you would be in one of the cohorts, a Monday, Tuesday, or a Thursday, Friday cohort.
2-part question. Will kids have recess? Let's take that first.
Yes.
Number 2, do kids have to take Chromebook and connect in school so that they can work on slides along with teacher and other kids?
Yes, we're expecting that our students will come in with their Chromebooks because there will be opportunities to do work online while they're in session.
Do students stay in one classroom for middle school students specifically?
We're not at the middle school level yet. We haven't made the decision to bring the middle school students in. And we would have to work that out with the Malden Education Association as well. And
Let's
we
go to
would take recommendations with our Board of Health too. I mean, the cross-contamination is something that we take very seriously.
Let's go to Monica. Will there be any outside time? If so, what are the precautions?
You mean outside, like recess or something like that?
That's what I'm assuming.
Same precautions we do now in terms of like weather. I mean, that's obvious. But then, we would make sure that our students are physically distant from one another. There will be supervision, but we want to, safety is the priority.
What happens if you don't send the kids to school in person?
You can stay in the fully remote option and stay in that, Monday through Friday.
How will the bathrooms be managed? You touched on this earlier. There are 2 grades on the same floor where the bathrooms will be shared and are not necessarily near the classroom for teachers to monitor. Sue?
Like I said, we'll limit the number of students that are in the bathroom, and there will be more cleaning of the bathrooms than normally. Usually it would be done at the end of the day, but there'll be frequent custodial trips into the restrooms to make sure.
Okay.
Pam?
You want to add to that?
Just one thing, I think when we look at the amount of students coming back, if you have a classroom of 20 at the kindergarten level, we're anticipating 50%. So we're going to have a small amount of students in the building, in the cohorts every day, which will make it easier to have physical distance, to space, to monitor them as they go to the bathroom. And the staff in the building have already been doing that with the special ed staff, with the special ed high needs kids that are in, so they're accustomed to doing it now. So we think we have a good handle on those types of logistics.
All right, this might be for Patty. My question is, why can't we just wait for 1 more month since the vaccine just started to happen and make sure it works first? Maybe start doing that since the month of February is the biggest flu season and the cases are so high this couple of months.
I'm not really quite sure how to answer this. I think we're coming back because we really want to focus on getting our youngest learners back in. And it's been worked out with the Board of Health and the school committee and everyone to bring the highest learners back, the youngest learners back in.
Okay, Soup, did you raise your hand?
No, I didn't. No, sorry.
Both my kids are in different Malden public schools. Is there a way to get them to have the same days in person?
Yeah, I would make sure that when you do the survey and also talk with your building principals, those are things that we want to coordinate to make sure that we can accommodate those families' requests. Yes.
Okay, let's
Pam?
go to Maria.
Pam's got something to add to that. Mr. Mayor, I'm
Sorry, Mayor. There's a lot of questions in the chat about the cohorts, so I want to just explain a couple things about that to cut to the chase a little, so that I think I can answer a lot of them as I read through. As soon as we know who's coming back and we have our numbers, the principals will split within their buildings, the cohorts. Now we are going to try to keep siblings together. If we have requests, the principals will try to keep them. If you have a neighbor that you do daycare with, we're going to try to keep those cohorts honor those requests as much as we can. And there'll be a Monday, Tuesday, and a Thursday, Friday cohort. And we're really hoping that if families are going to return the survey as soon as possible, and then we'll be able to get those cohorts out by midweek next week.
Okay.
But we'll take sort of requests and anyone who has special circumstances and keeping siblings together for cohorts.
All right, from Maria. Will the children have mask breaks throughout the day? If so, how will that work? Will they have time outside, which was asked previously?
Yes, there will be mass breaks during the day. They're built in. I believe they're like 10-minute breaks. Teacher will supervise that and make sure everybody's at least 6 feet apart.
Where and when can I elect remote learning for my kid in the 2nd grade?
That survey will be sent. I believe it's actually up on the website already, but you'll be getting a call from me within the hour where you would elect to that.
And Superintendent, I think they're also asking, what is the deadline for when they have to make their decision?
We will have the survey up through Thursday, and then if we don't have responses on Thursdays, our staff will be contacting the family. So we'd like that answer by Friday.
All right, let's say hello to Shalene. If we choose to stay remote at this time, when would our next opportunity be to reevaluate whether to participate in person?
We'll put those timelines out there, but it would be within 6 weeks. We're probably going to look at like a month or so.
Okay. When we get back, are half of the kids going to be on the computer and the other half present? Do you have a sense of what it might look like yet? Soup?
So I think, I'm not sure of the question, but we'll have.
Well, I think they were asking how many students do you anticipate coming back live and how many will stay remote?
I think Pam had just said it a minute ago. Our estimate is probably about half will come back.
Okay,
You know, that's the survey that we did in November. I think that's where the numbers basically were. Now, you know, where people are at now, I think sometimes, you know, the trajectory of the virus and the depth of it may make people's decisions, you know, to stay home or not. I mean, it's a deeply personal decision. And you know, that has to be done at the family level.
will all the students be eating in the cafeteria or in the classrooms?
So we're going to be looking at utilizing spaces to make sure that we have our students safe and apart. So we may be looking at some students in the caf, some students may be eating in the gym, some could be in other common areas, or some in the classroom. We're really utilizing what works best for the setup of that particular school and those classes.
Okay, and I think you've answered this next question. When they come back February 1st, how many days per week will they be in person?
Those 2 days, again, the cohort would be the Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday, Friday cohort, and everybody is remote on Wednesday.
How have safety protocols been modified in light of the new, more contagious variants of COVID? And will the teachers be able to get vaccinated before returning to the classroom?
So we still maintain the protocols of the protocols. You know, we've heard that from our public health officials, just to be, you know, more vigilant. You know, I think that what we see has happened, you know, not in the schools, but people elsewhere, they've let their guard down, they've gotten careless. You know, just maintain that vigilance, make sure the masks are worn, make sure that you're apart, make sure your hands are constantly washed. What was the other part to that question, Mr. Mayor?
Will the teachers be vaccinated, which I think you addressed earlier?
Yeah, so, you know, we had hoped to get our teachers vaccinated as soon as possible. You know, Mr. Webb and the Board of Health are working at securing the vaccines to come in. We're hopeful that the teachers who will be teaching in person will be our first priority for vaccinations. And we hope to get that in the next couple of weeks.
All right, let's see, several more questions. Might have to take a recess. How will cohorts be divided? Would the principals be open to request to join a different cohort based on students and families' needs?
Yeah, I think we had said that, you know, like Pam said, with the first priority would be to keep our families together, and then other situations that are really essential to that. The cohorts will be divided in a way that makes the most sense for that particular school. You know, it's not going to necessarily be, you know, like we're going to do, you know, alphabetically A through M, because we may have, you know, all of those families may have opted to stay remote and the other half didn't, but they'll be divided evenly based on, you know, what it looks like in the best interest of our students.
Do you have protocols in place as far as informing families if there's a positive case, for example, within 24 hours?
Correct. Yeah, once we find out the positive case in the school, we in all the situations we've had this year, we've notified that day.
Okay, let's drop down to Cindy. What is the plan if teacher does not return to the classroom? Will there be new teachers for in-class versus remote?
Yeah, we'll be looking at filling those as quickly and as best that we can.
All right, this next question, I think you'd answered. If I want to send my child, will it be 5 days a week or just 2 to 3? It would be
Just
two.
just two, yeah, two in person. Everybody would be remote on Wednesday, and the other cohort comes in Thursday and Friday.
And then if this family didn't want to, the student could learn remotely full.
Correct.
All right, what is being done to make sure the internet / Chromebooks can handle the remote streaming while in school?
We're very confident about that. The city's director of technology, Anthony Rodriguez, has worked with our network manager, Kandu, and our director of instructional technology, Natalia Brennan. We're very confident about that. They believe it's going to handle the situation without a problem. They've made adjustments during this remote period that has optimized the speed and the capacity of our technology.
Let's go to Kevin Brill. If remote and in-person students are receiving the same instruction, what are the advantages to encourage a student to participate in person? Super, if I could, just Kevin, what struck me is when I met with all of the class officers at Malden High School, and they told us that very candidly, that some of them felt that they wanted to be in person, while others said they actually feel like they're doing better remotely. So I guess it depends, right, Superintendent, on each student's needs?
Yeah, I think with our youngest learners, I think the biggest advantage is the socialization that the in-person opportunity brings.
Right.
I think that's where the state and our, mental health experts have really said we got to get the younger kids in because they're the ones that most need it. I think all of our kids do. I think we've had some kids who really thrive in the online, but we know that the connections that our students make that's how they make friends. This is how they learn, to get along in society, is to be a part of it. So, we're optimistic that that's going to be, a real plus, the socialization aspect.
All right, I think you've addressed this. What measures are being taken to stop the transmission of COVID? What changes have been implemented to keep everyone safe? Have changes been made to HVAC systems to clean the air? How is the current condition any different from last March?
So we've upgraded our filtration system. We've gone through it from top to bottom. In some school buildings, they've upgraded the compressors that were some of them were replaced. We have the MERV, oh gosh, we have the highest filtration that they call for with those filters. They're on we are changing the filters at a higher rate than what we are required to, just to make sure that they are done and that there's no problem with that. We've got a terrific HVAC team led by Ron Lasad, and they've been on this from the time that this started, that we all knew that air filtration and air movement was critical in helping lessen the transmission. So we feel very good about this. And I think when we had the company came in and spent a week auditing, going through it from the blueprint stage to testing the airflow in each room, they were very impressed, and we got an excellent report. I think the other piece that you should really be proud of here in Malden is we have 5, relatively new elementary schools that came with HVAC systems. They were all built between 99 and 2001. You look around at some of your neighboring communities, that's not the case. There's some really old schools. I think more than half the schools in Boston were built pre-World War II. That's a long time ago. So, they haven't had to do a retrofit. This has been right from the beginning. And they also have enough air volume and that we're drawing in that fresh air. So we feel really confident about that.
All right, let's go to parent extraordinaire Bonnie Littlejohn. Is there a maximum to the number of students in a classroom since they will be 6 feet apart? If there is a maximum, will students be changed to another classroom and therefore another teacher?
I believe, and Pam, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think the maximum that we had was about 14 in a classroom, in
We
most
don't-
of the classrooms.
No, we don't anticipate having
Correct.
to change teachers at this point. We feel like we can accommodate, between the two cohorts, everyone who wants to come in person. The classrooms are big enough for our class sizes if we split them in half.
All right, very good. Let's go to Danielle. What will drop off and pickup look like? Do parents enter the building? Is it outside?
It would be outside. We need to minimize the amount of people that come in and out of the building.
Okay. If enrolled in person, but choose to elect remote after starting the hybrid option, how is that handled? Is there flexibility to change?
Yeah, as I said earlier in this broadcast, going from in-person to remote, we can accommodate that very easily. Going from remote to in-person, we're going to need to make sure that we have the room in the classroom, and we'll probably designate some times where that you can opt in to the from remote to in-person.
Okay. Let's say hello to Scott. Our son is in PT as part of his IEP. Would he still be able to receive services remotely? I am concerned that 2 half-days week in person would impact our ability to safely have him attend daycare.
That's a special ed question that Ms. McDonald, I'm sure.
Let's go to Ms. McDonald.
Yeah, so we are still doing remote services for any family that wants them. We've also, offered in-person walk-in services. We're really trying to meet families where they are because it's a very personal decision whether or not they bring their students back. So whatever a family prefers, in-person or remote, we're happy to accommodate.
Okay, this question I think is worth repeating the answer. What is the plan for lunch?
So lunch will be served in school. And again, just as a reminder, we are now part of the community eligibility provision. So all students, regardless of income, will receive a free lunch. And lunch will be done in a number of places in the building where we can keep our kids safe, whether it's in some schools may have the kids in the cafeteria. We may utilize the gyms with some of the extra desks that have been removed from the classrooms in the gym. Some could be in some of the common areas. We're going to make sure that our lunch is provided in a very safe manner.
All right, let's see, another good question here. Is this going to be the plan for the rest of the school year, remote as well as in person? Or do you expect it to churn into fully in person sometime during the remainder of the year?
Oh, I wish I could tell you that answer. I think a lot of that, I think my goal would be that we could get everybody in person by the end of the school year. But I think that, those are factors beyond our control. What the vaccination rate is, what the trajectory of the virus is. Those are things that we really don't have the answers to at this point.
Okay.
And I think if there's one thing, and I know, Mr. Mayor, I've heard you say it numerous times in different forums, it's trite and it's cliche, but the situation is fluid and it changes. So I think we all have to be cognizant of that. My preference, if I had the magic wand, would be that everybody would be vaccinated now and we can get everybody in, but we're not there yet.
All right, let's go to Jennifer Stanford. How much dedicated direct instruction will fully remote students receive?
So they'll be, in front of a teacher. It'll be, teaching a lesson, then some independent work, with the teachers monitoring. So there'll be live instruction. I think one of the things I probably should have stated at the beginning is there has been actually today, the new regulations from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education went into effect that requires live synchronous learning time, which is one of the reasons we worked with the MEA to get live streaming, because we knew that was a way in which we could do it. The current hybrid that was in the agreement would not have provided that. So we
All right,
also,
let's-
they'll be streaming, through a camera. Pam, did you have something to add to that?
I was just going to say we have some upgraded technology so that when the teacher's working on stuff, the teachers have document cameras so they can show their work. And, we'll be going back and forth between the live instruction. Malden has invested in a lot of online subscriptions to help the kids like iReady and Lexia, so the kids can also do that during the day.
Okay. Let's go over to Kev. Hi all, I'm truly concerned that business is limited and inoculations are not complete. Numbers have skyrocketed. We are not in a good place with this pandemic. How much of this is pressure from the State House? And how much of this is a sincere feeling that there is low risk or no risk? Well, let me just start by saying to Kev, this absolutely has nothing to do with any pressure from the State House or anywhere else. So Superintendent, on the second part of the question, how much of this is a sincere feeling that there is low risk to no risk?
How much is it my feeling that there's low risk to no risk?
Yeah, of transmission. I think what you and I and others have been looking at is what's transpired over the past couple of months, right?
Yeah, and I think we look at the data that's there has been low risk. We've had no transmission in Malden from students to staff. We know that if we are vigilant and follow the safety protocols and utilize the PPE, we're in good shape. We've been very successful since the middle of October with our students that are in and our staff. I think that what we saw was a lot of anxiety the week prior to them coming in, just prior to coming in the first couple of days. And then I think people really saw like, oh, this is a safe environment. We've got the protocols in place. Our kids have been terrific. Our staff has been outstanding. The families have been very patient. And I think our families have really been a part of it. They've made sure that their kids are wearing the masks. We have had no problems with our high needs kids who often need to be redirected in other times, but masks have been very good. And I think our staff feels confident with that, with the protocols and the PPE that's in place has worked.
All right. Next up, another good question. Might have to add some of them to the Joint Labor Management Committee, Superintendent. This is a good question from Brooke Little. For children that stay fully remote, will the teachers try to keep a similar routine schedule as they have had already during remote learning? The concern is students that have gotten into a good routine and know what to expect at what time throughout the day.
I can't speak to every individual class, but this will mirror the school day and everybody will be following it. So we feel that this is going to be good. There'll be like, if this is the block that we're going to do math, and this is the time that we do literacy, and this is the time that we do, sharing time or circle time or whatever it would be. Those routines are going to be followed.
Okay. Why are exploratory teachers expected to expose themselves to multiple classes students? They are not, right?
So our exploratory teachers will be in a setting where they're not rotating in as many classes as they were in person, and they'll have the proper PPE and all in place.
All right, let's go over to Sarah. Why was February 1st picked as the day to go back, given that we are currently in a surge of COVID cases in Massachusetts? Soup.
I think that collaboratively between the school committee and our administration, that was the date that was chosen to, bring our students in. I think if you've looked at the numbers the last couple days, they're going down a little, which is optimistic. So.
Yeah, and Sarah, I actually think we talked about doing this sooner, but we wanted to try to get past the holiday season first. But again, we keep going back to the students that we've had in school over the past several months. And as the superintendent stated, we haven't really seen, anything regarding transmission. And so, of course, once we had enough time to know that, we wanted to get right to our, the next phase, which is the youngest learners. So that's why February 1st was picked. Let's go to next question. How does the new strain of COVID that has spread easier and is predicted to become the dominant strain influence our plans for in-person learning? Well, actually, everyone that's on the call, we are going to be doing a separate show tomorrow night at 7:00 p.m. live on Malden Access Television, which is now known as UMA, Urban Media Arts. It'll be an hour-long show. We'll have our health director on along with other guests to talk about this new strain and vaccination and everything else regarding COVID. So if you can tune in, again, that's tomorrow night, Wednesday, 7:00 p.m. And if you can't, it'll be recorded and they'll replay it over and over again. But the one thing that our health department has told us is that although it may transmit easier than in the spring, it's definitely not more fatal. So that's the one thing that they have told us repeatedly. So that's what we know at this point. But obviously, as with anything regarding this, it's fluid, and we're just all going to have to adapt as we learn more. Let's go to Jeff Taylor. Jeff, how are you? How does the live streaming work? More details, please. Is the teacher teaching in front of a laptop with students also in the room, or is each classroom equipped with a camera?
So they'll be teaching with a camera. We have cameras in place. So they'll be teaching to the students remote at home and to the students that are in the classroom.
What if I want my child to remain remote? What is the process for that?
So on that survey that's out, just elect that you want to stay remote. And you can always contact your building principal to express that as well.
Would you send out a comprehensive FAQ for parents who cannot attend this session?
Yeah, we have an FAQ that went out with the communication on Friday that's up on our website. But we can begin compiling some of these questions as well.
Water fountains are closed, correct?
Correct.
Will all of this information be transcribed into the many different languages our Malden families have, including this video?
I don't know the capacity of the video. That might be something Mr. Cochran can answer, but this session is recorded. I think it goes to UMA, and then they do their magic and produce a YouTube link for us to put up on the website. Our documents that are on the website are translatable through the website. So when we get some of these things up there, we put them on our website and you can translate from the website there.
Mr. Cochran?
Yeah, and normally with something like this, we would do it an on-demand request because it's a lengthy program. We can definitely do the translation that you're interested in, but we would do it upon request. So my email, if that request comes in, it's rcochran@cityofmalden.org. So that's rcochran@cityofmalden.org, and we can definitely make arrangements for you.
Okay, Mr. Cochran, while we have you, do you still have callers in the queue?
We do have one person who is a caller only that has raised their hand asking a question. So
Okay, and
Just
you
one,
said the
just
only
one.
way is to take that live?
yeah,
All right, let's break this thing up. Bring in the caller.
so I'll just need you to transfer hosting over to me and I'll be able to do that.
You know, I don't know how to. So let me keep going through these questions. You can send me a step-by-step protocol on how to do that. In the meantime, Katie Aldridge, good evening. I know this is primarily regarding pre-K second grade, but has there been any progress made regarding grades 3 to 12 returning at all this school year?
Yeah, those are ongoing discussions. I think we're all anxious to see how this phase goes with our youngest learners, but we're always looking at what the next steps would be. We'll be working with the MEA and the school committee on identifying the next group of students to come in and when that timeframe would be.
Will high school students remain remote for the entire school year? What is your best guess?
I hope not. I think our high school students, I know some prefer staying remote, but I think that there's, I particularly look at our freshmen. They're kind of lost. You think about when you were first entered Malden High School, or you entered high school wherever you went. In a city, you come from multiple elementary schools and junior high schools and middle schools to feed into one. And in your math class, you might only know, 4 or 5 of those kids. So we're hoping to get some of those high school students in at some point during this year as well.
All right, everybody. So it's 7:07. We were going to end at 7, but we're going to keep going because we know how important this is to everyone. So panelists, hang in there. We'll see if we can get through the rest of these. Or maybe I shouldn't have said that because there's another 350 questions. Let me see if I can consolidate some of them. And before we do this, why don't we let everybody know that's watching? Patty, if someone wanted to reach you offline, how do they get a hold of you to ask their question that they couldn't ask tonight?
You can reach me by email, and that's ptremendozzi, PTRAMONDOZZI@maldenps.org. The other way you can reach me is my phone number. It's 781-397-6106. My information is also on the website. There are multiple locations for myself and all of the school nurses. Their emails are listed there as well as their phone numbers. So you feel free to reach out if anyone has questions for us.
All right, very good. Thank you. Let's go to Ms. McDonald.
All right, so I am P. MacDonald, MacDonald @maldenps.org. I have to confess, I don't know my phone number yet, but I do want to point out that all of the principals of the individual schools are going to host, and I believe most of them are tomorrow night, another question and answer where they can answer much more specific. So for instance, some of the schools are going to use the gym to serve lunches. Some are staying in the cafeteria. It depends on the size of the school. I know a lot of the schools are similar, but just different things like that. And they'll have much more in-depth answers to some of these questions. So I just want to keep that in mind.
All right, very good. Soup.
Yep, you can reach me at joteri@maldenps.org. That's JOTERI@maldenps.org. And my number is 781-397-6100.
Good evening, Heather. If you decide to remain remote, will there be a chance to return again before the end of the year? We have family members who are in their 70s and are worried about exposure.
Yes, as I said before, that to go from remote to in-person, we'll have some designated times when you can elect to do that. Some of it's going to be dependent upon, some could happen early, some might have to wait depending upon what the numbers look like in those classrooms. But we'll allow that.
Courtney, what is the estimated date for grades 3 to 5 to return? Give a guess, mid-February, March, or later?
I would not want to speculate on that right now publicly. I think, just looking at the month of February, it's a short month with a vacation in there. We're going to start February 1st, with the pre-K through 2. So I would say sometime after that, obviously, but I wouldn't want to speculate yet.
Kathy, will it be hybrid in 1 week, out the next, or will it be in school a couple of times a week for 2nd grade?
I'm not sure I understand that question.
I think they're asking how this will be broken down, and I think you mentioned 2 days in.
Right, Monday and Tuesday would be one cohort, Thursday and Friday the other cohort, and all students would be remote on Wednesdays. That's how it would start.
When we have lunch, do we bring our lunch, or will we still be getting it free?
You always have the choice to bring your lunch, but everybody will get a free lunch. That's a result of Malden's participation in the community eligibility program.
All right, here's a question we just heard about today, Superintendent. See if you can enlighten us. At the ELC, families learned today that their students enrolled in the 5-day program would no longer receive 5 days of instruction. We found out that our children would learn in the buildings 2 days a week and have remote learning on Wednesdays. How will we feel completely blindsided? Is it possible to have ELC students enrolled in the 5-day program receive remote instruction on the other 2 days as well? Do you have any insight on this?
Pam, could you,
Yeah, so we're trying to work it out. It's really hard for the ELC kids to do the remote learning. Unfortunately, because of the space constraints, the constraints with the MOA with the union, we have to limit how many kids we have right now. We're really hoping that after the first few weeks, we can transition to have the students there more. We'll know more once we know how many students are coming back and how that works out. But we're really, our priority is to get kids in the building any way we can, the families that want it. And I understand there's some that don't. So we're trying to accommodate both sides, and that's a really hard thing to do. So we're working with those families. And I just want to mention, I saw in the chat, someone said that the times had changed, and they did change at the ELC. We shortened the day just a little bit because they used to have nap time, which we didn't feel like was appropriate to have nap time for the kids during the day, given COVID. So we shortened the day just slightly to accommodate the kids and take out that nap time. So there were changes like that that are also going on with the ELC. They're little. And so we need to kind of tweak things to make sure that they're COVID safe, as well as, education, a good educational experience. So it's a really fine line. And I have to say, Mr. Rogers and Monique down there are doing a great job with trying to do the best we can with the situation. And I know it's not ideal, but everyone's working hard to do the best they can with.
All right,
with what we
Doctor, hang in there. And again, you can email the assistant superintendent after this to talk about that further. Let me see who else hasn't gone yet. Let's see. There have been a few questions about schedule, but I'm still not understanding how this works. For students who are returning to school, how many days will they be in the building? Will it be half the class 2 days and the other half 3 days?
no, students will be in the building 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, or Thursday and Friday. Except for the students who are already in. The high needs kids will continue to stay in the model that they're in. I just want to make sure, but with the pre-K to 2 students, they'll be in 2 cohorts, the Monday, Tuesday, or the Thursday, Friday, and everybody is remote on Wednesdays.
All right, and next 4 or 5 questions, Superintendent, are about when they can switch back and switch out. I mean, I think will students have the option to elect out of hybrid learning and stay remote?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. When will ESL newcomers be returning?
We're looking, our ESL kids, go ahead, Pam, I'm sorry.
They'll be coming back with their grade appropriate classes. So like K1 and 2 ELs will come back on February 1st.
All right. Hello, Heidi. Will school administration try to keep children from the same family in the same cohort, so they're in the
Yes.
building on the same days of the week?
Correct. Yes, we will.
All right. Let's see. Colleen Ford, can you let us know how many COVID cases you have had so far? How many classes have had to quarantine to this point?
A limited number. I don't know the number off the top of my head.
Was it half dozen?
Patty, do you have a sense? I don't have those.
I don't have a number either.
All right, Colleen, why don't you email our nurse after? We'll see if we can get that for you, okay? Let's see, Margaret, what is the timeline for high school students? We're not sure yet, right? Returning to
Correct.
in-person learning. Okay. Let's see, Rachel and Sarah, thank you for prioritizing keeping kids with their teachers. That is very important. What support and training are teachers being given to co-lead a remote and in-person classroom? Will there be additional staff working with teachers?
We're working on some training, of how to, work with the cameras and some of the new technology. I'm not sure what the other half of the question was.
Will there be additional staff, support staff?
We're trying to hire. Pam was nodding her head there. We're looking for additional staff. We have been.
All right, Patty, I want to know if the kids should get tested before starting school.
It's not a requirement, but if parents would like to, that's okay.
Yep.
We're not requiring any testing right now to return.
All right, let's go to Brian Sylvester. Will the Malden Public Schools offer regular COVID tests to faculty and staff?
So we, Patty and I signed us up for the pool testing, surveillance testing that the state is offering. We don't have any timeline on that, but that would be a way in which the students and staff could get tested. The state will be providing it free for the first 6 weeks, and we're excited to be a part of that program.
When dropping off, picking up students, will the time be the same for all students, or will it be staggered?
It's right now, it's for all students. I mean, obviously ELC has a little different schedule, but our K-2 students in the building, it would be the same. Again, I think we're talking, much smaller numbers than we would have in a normal school day.
Let's hear from Rodriguez. Can we choose which days work best for our work schedule? Will siblings be in the same cohort? When will all the grades be going in?
We certainly want to keep our siblings together, and if you have a preference on the Monday, Tuesday, or the Thursday, Friday, we'd like you to express that to your building principal so that they can take that into consideration and try to make that happen.
What will be the class size capacity? If all students of the same class choose to be in hybrid, will that be accommodated?
We don't anticipate that being a problem. I believe we're looking at a maximum class size of 14 when we maintain the 6-foot distancing across the district. But we wouldn't expect all students to opt in-person learning. That does not seem to be something that we would anticipate. And even if we did, I don't think that we would have a problem with that.
All right, good evening, Eden. Will testing happen regularly for in-person students? If so, any idea how often?
I think, Patty, it's about a weekly test. I'm not sure. Patty was on the webinar with the details of that.
Pool testing, if and when we do begin that, would be, I believe it's a weekly testing per cohort per week. If parents consent to that, you have to have consent to do it.
All
And that
right,
would be of staff and students.
I'm gonna start skipping around here because we have, I think, 400 more questions. Let's see. When will the high school going back to school in person? How will the school handle the safety of students? And if a parent decides to keep their kids remote, can they do so for the rest of the school year?
Yes.
Excuse me, Mayor, I just want to jump in. There were a couple questions about after school that I've
Yep.
seen, that I've noticed scrolling. At this point, we will not have after school programming. So I just want to make sure parents knew that.
Okay. And what was the rationale there, Ms. McDonald?
I don't have a lot to do with the after school program, and I'm new in town still. But my understanding is that it's staffing, as well as it's harder during the after school hours to keep the kids. You'd be mixing cohorts. So like if 2 people from my class, 2 people from Patty's, 2 from John's went, then you'd be mixing cohorts. So I think at this point, we're not going to do the after school program because they come from so many different classes.
Correct.
Okay. All right, let's see. Is there a maximum and minimum number of days a student can choose to be in person?
The maximum is, and minimum is the same. It's 2 days. It'll be either a Monday, Tuesday, or a Thursday, Friday.
Will we need to go, this is from Dawn O'Toole. Good evening, Dawn. Will we need to go remote for 2 weeks after February and April vacations, as the high need students did after winter vacation in December, January? I don't think so, right?
We're not anticipating that. And I think, I think the rationale, which was very sound to do that, was because there were major holidays where we knew there were major family and religious gatherings that took place. And I think out of an abundance of caution, wise decision was made to not. And I think we saw the numbers were, made that decision, validated that as well.
All right, Natalie, is the school providing face shields?
We have face shields, yes.
Okay. Normal hours, 8:15, 2:15?
Correct.
I think you said that. Is there a limit on the number of students that will be allowed in person? No, right?
Well, we have a capacity in a classroom, as I said, it's about 13 or 14. We don't anticipate that happening with the, split classes in the cohort. Yeah.
Let's see. I want to know about the school. Is it going to be full-time or the time is going to be short? I think we covered that. Let's see here. After school, you touched on that. Let's go to Aaron. Following up with the question about switching to hybrid, will we be able to join hybrid if we can give a specific start date?
Do you want me to? So what we've done with the special needs population, Desi has said you have to honor parents' request within 6 weeks of that request. We've been able to do it in a shorter amount of time. If a parent is fully remote and decides they'd like to go in person, they should contact the principal and they can work out a start date for them. At this point, we feel like we'll be able to accommodate parents in a much shorter span than the 6 weeks, but that is the timeline set by Desi. But again, we think we can accommodate in a much shorter timeline if you want to switch from remote to in-person, the 2-day in-person option.
Regarding in-person learning, do kids need to bring their laptop? Also,
Yes.
the tables and chairs for the classroom, are they going to be cleaned nightly?
Yes, they're cleaned nightly, and on Tuesday evenings and on Friday evenings, they go through, the building goes through a very extensive cleaning process.
Okay, let's see. Will students be pulled out to visit specialists? Or will specialists be pushing into classrooms?
The specialists will be coming into the classrooms. I think some of them, special education, Pam can answer that, but they would be meeting with their students on their caseload, our special educators.
All right, let's go to Ellen. Let's see, I just had her. This is about someone testing positive. So we've given general statements up to now. If there are positive cases, can you tell us whether the whole school will need to be quarantined?
Again, I think Patty answered that earlier.
Right.
It would depend on the case and the
Yep.
number of positive cases there. If it's a cluster, or if it's a situation where we had a number of staff that were infected and we couldn't adequately staff it, those would be reasons. But there are other reasons, on the health end that would necessitate shutting down a school too.
My daughter is in kindergarten. Will they need to bring any of their own supplies to use in class?
We have plenty of supplies in the classroom. Again, it's not going to be like it was in the past where a lot of sharing of supplies, but we do have, we have supplies for our students.
If your child is in person but is sick, can they do remote while they're home, but not
Yes.
full switch?
Correct. And even if a student had to go into quarantine, they would remain in remote.
Okay, that takes care of the next couple of questions. I think a lot of these other ones.
I just want to say, I know Ms. McDonald has a hard stop at 7:30 for an appointment, so.
Yep. So another 10 minutes, everyone, okay? And I'm trying to find, to answer Maffeo's question, please answer new questions. I'm trying to find them. Bear with me. Let's see. I mean, these are pretty much all been covered, what I'm seeing. And again, for folks that I may have missed, why don't we do the contact info for one more time? So we'll start with you, Ms. McDonald.
It's P. McDonald, MAC, @maldenps.org. Also, my information is on the website. And I want to reiterate that all of the K-8 buildings will have a family night, I believe tomorrow night or Thursday night, to answer additional questions. And I think that's going to be a really, another really important source of information for our families.
Okay, back to you, Patty.
It's Patty Tremendozzi. It's ptremendozzi@maldenps.org. And again, my information is available on the website as well as the other school nurses.
All right, and finally, Superintendent.
Sure, it's John O'Terry, J. O'Terry @maldenps.org. That's JOTERI @maldenps.org.
Let's see, Superintendent, update on the EBT cards for all.
Sure. So the pandemic EBT cards that's with Department of Transitional Assistance. We keep getting calls. There seems to be some problems on the DTA end. I know other superintendents have had the same issue in their district. We resent the file to them a couple weeks ago to make sure that it was updated, but we have heard from some families that it wasn't. So we encourage you to contact the Department of Transitional Assistance on that.
Okay. Will students be changing classrooms during the day? From Angie.
Not in the K-2 scenario, no.
Who can join and see and hear what is going on with live stream?
I'm not sure who can see it. I mean, it's just like it would be now. The student is in their house. We do ask that people, respect privacy, and, it should really just be for the student and the parents. Sometimes it's there to assist, but, that's what we would insist on.
All right, I want to go to Jackie Ecker next. By the way, I want to thank her and Lori Adai and Eden Gerhardt Smith. They've been meeting with me on a monthly basis to represent, all of the families across the city. So let me go to Jackie, and if anybody wants to participate in those meetings, make sure you reach out to Jackie Ecker. How will you handle SPED pullout services? Will kids be able to get these services in person?
Sure, Pam, I'm sure you can answer that more accurately.
So we are anticipating that, if a child has 2 times 30 for speech per se, and they're in Monday, Tuesday, and on Thursday, Friday, they're in they'll get 1 in person and 1 remote.
All right, Tiffany, good question. Have you spoken to other districts who have done the hybrid proposed schedule we are doing for feedback, things to know, opportunities, challenges?
I've spoken to a couple of districts on this, and I think that we've taken a very protracted look at this. I think some of them have been doing it from the beginning, and they had some, bumps in the road. But we've talked to them.
Okay. All right, just a couple of more. Let me see here. One more time for Louisa to clarify the options. The following are.
You can elect to come in hybrid, and you would be either in the Monday, Tuesday cohort or the Thursday, Friday cohort, or you can opt to remain in the fully remote portion.
Over to Ben. Will we have a chance to switch cohorts?
Yep, we will. I
Yeah.
mean, cohorts?
Yeah.
Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday.
Can I clarify one thing on the cohorts? The principals will assign them. We're going to accommodate siblings, and then any hardships we'll consider taking into account. But the principals will assign them according to the numbers. So I want to make sure that that's clear.
Do you expect that the current remote schedule will continue, or will it be modified? I guess it depends, right? So
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. Let's see here. Brad, how will in-person learning for lower grades where facial expression and social interaction are critical for students be impacted by these social distancing measures?
How will the in-person teaching for that?
Yeah,
I mean, that's something we have to be cognizant of. I think it's going to rely on a lot of communication with the teachers to the students. You can't see facial expressions as well through a mask. So we rely on our educators to be, really empathetic, compassionate, and ask the questions to find out how our students are doing or what they actually meant by, if they understood the question or the answer, how they're explaining it. So I think it's.
okay, why is the mayor prioritize reopening restaurants over schools? I'm not sure that's the case, but if you want, email me at mayor@cityofmalden.org. This is a good question from Gregory. If younger students have a behavior breakdown and need to leave the room, where do they go? And who is with them?
We have some support staff that are there. And we still have our assistant principals and principals that are there to support our students in times of crisis, as well as our social workers and counselors and therapists. And don't forget, there's a lot more space now than when we were in crowded classrooms.
One more time, this has come up a few times. What will exploratory classes look like?
So our teachers will be teaching in the exploratories via live streaming. We're hoping it looks very much like it did. Obviously, some things we can't do, like singing, because of the projection of the your breath aspirations there. We're going to have to modify a lot of what that in-person looks like for some of those classes.
Okay. Let's see. My question is, when we say Monday, Tuesday cohort and Thursday, Friday cohort, does the school assign these to students or is it the parents' choice?
I think, Ms. McDonald just said that we're going to prioritize based on the numbers of our students coming in, keeping our siblings together, and then, special situations that we need to. But if there's a, request that you can only secure, childcare for certain days, and that's your priority, I'd say put it in and we'll do the best we can to accommodate it.
Okay. All right. No easy answers, but let's try and do what we can together. So we're going to end this. The time is we went past 7:30. So again, if there were questions that we missed, I apologize, but we have provided you with the email and phone information for our panelists. And if you didn't have a chance to hear that, you can always just reach out to me directly. I'm Gary Christensen, Mayor and Chairperson of the School Committee. My email is mayor@cityofmalden.org. And as we began, we just want to say thank you to you all. We know this is not easy, but you have been patient, you have been understanding, and we're going to do everything we can to get to where we all want to go. So again, tomorrow night, Wednesday, we'll have a live show on Malden Access Television to talk where we are with COVID in general across the city. And in the meantime, if you need us, please call or email us, and we'll do the very best we can to answer all of your questions. So on behalf of the panelists, thank you for being here. We had roughly three, I think Mr. Cochran said, might have been a 1,500 participants. So that says a lot about you.
Yeah, we almost reached 600 at one point, actually.
600. Yeah, so thank you very much. And we'll see you all again soon. Thank you.
All right.